What's up, Tampa? It is April 24th. For those of you just joining us, welcome to Tampa Talk. I'm John.
And I'm Dahlia, and I can't not believe that it's April 24th. That's crazy.
I can't not believe.
Yeah, that's the right word, right?
I believe.
I can't believe. What's the difference between cannot and can't?
I cannot believe.
Yeah.
That's what you said?
Yeah.
I heard can't not.
Oh,
that was
okay.
a double negative in there for you. But I cannot believe.
Yeah, so what are we talking about?
What are we talking about?
Well, we've got new SNAP restrictions that could impact families, a big investment in flood prevention across Hillsborough County, and a look into the future of flying cars, kind of.
The future of flying cars.
Yeah.
All right, but first, let's do this week in the work. What we got going on?
Well, I kind of wanted to share about the fundraising dinner, or I don't even want to call it that, because it truly, what we wanted to create was a salon type dinner. So for those of listeners that aren't familiar, salon dinner is this concept from the 17th century, like French, is that revolution? 17th century? Anyways, it's a French revolutionary idea of like, how do you change the world? You get together and you talk intentionally. And that's really, it's a picture of like old smoky cigar salons and decisions being made and, you know, people talking about ideas. And really how that's evolved is to create intentional dinners. So it's not, hey, let's come together and be stuffy and gossip, but like, let's come together and talk about something that we care about and we want to like move the needle on. Yep. And with Well-Fed Communities work being food systems, we held a salon dinner, our first salon dinner, where we really wanted people to intentionally gather around food. And when we first started Well-Fed, we had always said that we wanted something to be that would like cross demographics. Mm-hmm. And of course, while we focus a lot of our work on vulnerable populations, now that, you know, we've been in this 5 years, we really wanted to kind of circle back to that and say, who's still not part of this conversation? And how do we get them in part of the conversation, educated on the issue, connected to their community, connected to our programming? And so as a result, we held a salon dinner. And of course, we made, you know, a monthly donor ask, and, you know, we are still a nonprofit. But I think the real success of the event was the fact that we really were able to embody to the community what we do at Well-Fed. And it is that we host people, we honor culture, we create a table that is beautiful, that makes you feel dignified, that you can sit around. And I think what I was really proud about, well, one, big shout out to Chris, because this is Chris's event ultimately. And she did a fantastic job. And I think something that we did a really good job of is truly not create, like, obviously, you know, people were paying for the event, so there was a bit of fanfare, but for the most part, we held the same values that we do when we do a community dinner. And that means, you know, glassware and tablecloths and to-go boxes and a raffled prize to incentivize people to get out there. And I think if you would have come to that event and you come to a community dinner, it wouldn't have felt like night and day. Yeah. And I think that was super important for us, was that we wanted to truly exemplify our work. And then we always want to make sure that we're giving everybody that same experience.
What I think is particularly cool about that, as you tell that story, is that people did pay a good chunk of change to come to this. I think the one maybe distinction between the two was there was maybe some alcohol present.
Correct. Yeah.
Which because of the table that you said. Yeah. But other than that, I think what's so cool about that is people paid a good chunk of change. Felt like they got more than I would have paid more for this. Like, this is like, I got a tremendous value out of this dinner, and you can say it resembles the thing that we're doing with and for the community all the time and I just think that's the actual like kind of huge news there is like, we do this all the time.
The pride point.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. So again, big shout out to Chris and to Virgin and to Christina, or one of our, like, everybody who made that event possible. And then for all those who attended and believe in the mission, believe in the work, you know, a lot of those guests in the room are people that have walked along Well-Fed for the past, you know, 5 years and just, you know, chose to come out that day to support that first event. But I mean, even Elizabeth who was there, you know, she was the one that told me about salon dinners, and we held the first one informally in her home, or maybe in her friend's home. Either way,
like a practice run.
No, back then, this was like years ago, and it was just like, let's do this thing. We heard about it, let's do it, and let's have fun with it. And that is where we pulled inspiration for the model for this type of thing that we want to do with Well-Fed. I mean, she came out there and supported it. And so, yeah, cool stuff.
So I know this is like a tight group. You have a limited seating. You have people in mind that you want to invite out to these. But if someone was listening and was interested in attending one of these, is there someone they could reach out to get their name on a list and maybe have a shot at getting a ticket to the next one? Yeah,
I think people could always reach out to me directly. So Dahlia at WellBuilt.city. That's DHALIA.
Get it right.
At WellBuilt.city. And autocorrect will force you to spell my name wrong. So you
will.
got to
It
really
will.
focus on it.
It will.
But yeah, we hope to host our next one in the fall. We did do this outside at Rude Awakening Farm. So another shout out to them for, allowing us to use their space. So we need to wait for cool weather to come back as one of the challenges of, I think the model, or at least with this venue and wanting to be outside. Yeah. And so we do hope to be doing again. And so specifically in the later months of the year. And so if you are interested in getting on that list to know when that event happens, reach out.
Nice.
But we'll get into this week in Tampa history for right now. So this week in Tampa history takes us back to April 28th, 1887, when Tampa's first electric lights were switched on.
Yeah, it's wild to think about that. I mean, imagine living in a city where it's just dark.
Yeah.
And then suddenly there is light.
Yeah.
Now, I imagine it wasn't completely dark because they had this electric. So they probably had gas lights and there's probably some other.
Yeah, but it's still like largely dark. Imagine the stars in the sky.
Just kick on the light.
Yeah.
Oh, well, right.
Yeah.
You could actually see stars from Tampa back then.
Yeah, and I'm sure like if you were in like New York or one of the more populated states, nearby cities are throwing off light and stuff. But like Florida was pretty empty. So like this would have been the only light for like hundreds of miles, I'd want to say. And people literally gathered to watch it happen because it was a full-on event.
They brought in a small Westinghouse generator, set up 2 arc lights, one at Franklin and Washington and the other in front of what they called the Dry Goods Palace.
And the Tampa Journal described it as people being amazed that darkness could just disappear through a wire.
Feels obvious now, but back then it was just magic.
Yeah, and although
it's crazy.
It's so crazy. I can't even imagine a world. Yeah, no, I can't. Yeah, you can't even really think about it. But yeah, it wasn't perfect that night.
Not quite. So the lights were bright, but they also sputtered, crackled, and they went out pretty often.
But it was still the beginning of everything that we know today. And, think about how much light we use.
Take for granted constantly. I mean, we actually have a room at our building that the lights just stop coming on and I have someone, but it's like an emergency. I got to get someone over there to look at these lights. Yeah. In just this one room that.
Yeah. Or even think about the countries not in the US or, the developed world.
The rolling brownouts.
Rolling blackouts are actually, we work with some people that are over in the Philippines. And they can't make calls because they get notified like day of, like, hey, you're going to be in a blackout during this period. And that's just their life is dealing with the fact that like you just don't get power for parts of the day.
And it's I've been in several countries where that was just the case. It's like, we just kick it on for a little while in the evening.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Different world.
All right, so first story and kind of the news this week that we're going to get into, there's some new SNAP restrictions here in Florida.
Yeah, so starting this week, certain items are going to no longer be available for purchase with EBT benefits.
So I think we've covered this when they first said they're going to do it. It's actually going into it's actually now the reality. So we're talking about things like chips, candy, soda, energy drinks, and prepackaged desserts.
Yeah, so this is part of the Make America Healthy Again initiative, trying to push toward healthier food choices. And it was actually a waiver program that states opted into. So there's 20-some states across the United States that have opted into basically these. So it's actually being treated as like a study.
Yep.
So these states opt into it.
Mm-hmm.
You get to
states
set
get to choose what they
And so you get to set like what is not allowed or what is allowed. And so we did cover it way back when. But this is now like it's official, it's happening, it's part of how SNAP is used.
So there are groups that are raising concerns about this. I think Feeding Tampa Bay is among them. But there are concerns about this being like a limitation on what people have access to.
Yeah, and ultimately, like some of the concerns are at the fact that healthier food is often more expensive. So this could actually make it harder for families to stretch their budgets or purchase, the same caloric value, let's say.
So while the total benefit amount isn't changing, the reality of like what that money can do actually might. And I think we said when we talked about this before, I don't know. I'm not hating this. I do know that there's a lot of calories that are just sugar calories in an energy drink or like a soda, for example. But the idea that it is a nutrition benefit is, at least by definition, maybe not what it was being aimed at. So,
and I actually really appreciate that this was an opted in process for the states, not federally mandated as like a change, because I do think it will allow for some really good comparison between states that choose this and states that don't choose this. And I mean, you can add that to the spectrum of different, like, so Washington State, or I think maybe it just might be the city of Seattle, is known for having a sweetened beverage tax. So they tax every sweetened beverage. And that money actually goes towards their school lunch programs. And so ultimately, like, it's all a dollars and cents game. And this is a way that federal dollars are either being used or not being used. Anyways, I know that there's obviously, you know, we're out in the streets doing the work every single day. And so there is definitely going to be an individual impact of this
for sure.
that might not be positive. And so I feel for those residents. But like, I am interested to see how this might move the direction of a healthier, like, you know, a healthier SNAP program forward, right? Especially if it's layered.
I feel like I've already seen some signs in corner stores that like maybe they're just prepared for this already, because it looked like they were already being enforced in a few places, like EBT cannot be used on these items.
Yeah, starting to notify people. And
that might have been what it was. Yeah.
And that's going to be the big thing. Like, do we see the follow-up of the programs that help stretch your, like, you know, we have in Florida the fresh access bucks. So like you can double your dollars you spend on fresh produce, right? How are we going to see those programs sustained, supported, expanded to then combat the issue of the fact that
the dollar isn't stretching as far?
Yeah.
It's an interesting argument. I mean,
I'd love to hear what other people think, because I think this is like an important conversation.
It's a real conversation. Yeah.
But next up, we're going to talk about Hillsborough County that just approved a $95 million plan to tackle flooding and drainage issues.
It's a big one. This funding is coming from federal disaster recovery dollars after Hurricanes Helene and Milton.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this a couple weeks ago, but the plan includes 10 different projects focused on improving stormwater systems across the county.
That includes things like upgrading drainage, restoring coastal habitats, and clearing out canals.
The biggest piece is culverts, which are the underground pipes that move water under roads.
The county has about 1,400 miles of them, and over 100 are being repaired or replaced as part of this plan.
And that alone is a $24 million investment of this $95 million plan.
And it's one of those behind the scene things that we don't think about until it floods.
Yeah. And it flooded bad. Those of you who were here for Helene and Milton know that. And I was reading Elizabeth's after action report, and the amount of lift systems that failed, like our sewer,
600 plus.
It was like over 80% of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
Which is criminal.
Yeah.
Criminal that those things had not been brought up to speed or up to date. I mean, they like all failed. It's like,
yeah. And there wasn't even like generators at each station point. And so like we couldn't even get them back online. And depending on where you lived in the county, I know people that are out in like Thonosassa, kind of like Mango area, they had poop in their streets. Because when all that water back, and not just like it's poop water, guys, be careful. No, like I see poop, I smell poop. Like
it's not funny.
It's not. So huge, like great that this, you know, we're investing in this resource back to water, right? It's one of our most lights. It's one of our most basic things we take for granted.
Well, this is the thing too. Like, there's a lot of when we talk about the lights and we talk about the sewers, this is the one thing I always come back to, because there's a lot about society and systems and things that we can be like, you know, this is terrible, this is terrible, this is terrible. But at just a very basic appreciation level for society to be like, your lights turn on, your water runs. Yeah. You know, that the roads go from one place to the other. Yeah. Those are big accomplishments.
Totally.
For collective kind of action together.
You have public water, you have public lights.
It's wild.
We've got public Wi-Fi. Like,
so we could be mad about the details, but like the burn it down posture is problematic when you start thinking about like,
wow, and that's coming from John Dengler.
You know, I've grown a lot over the years, man. There's a lot of things that could be burned down, but when we say the system, it's like, you know, I like that the water runs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty grateful about that.
And it's like semi-clean. Like, yeah, we can complain about the details again, but there's a lot of places where you turn on the water and you absolutely can't drink it. So, or nothing comes out. So, no, really important things to be grateful for.
So there's also some development news. The University of Tampa just broke ground on major new science center.
Yeah, so this is actually the largest investment from the University of Tampa in its 94-year history.
153,000 square foot facility that will bring all of their science departments into one place.
Yeah, so a lot of their classes are scattered right now or stuck in older buildings like Plant Hall.
So it can really shift the university's identity a bit more into health and sciences, not just business, which is the sexy school they got right there. Yeah.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I don't even know like people who went to Tampa for anything besides like
right.
Yeah.
No, everyone you know is like all our interns, like
business. Yeah, interesting.
Pre-law.
I never really,
Business,
I never thought about that. I mean, they're private school, right? And so we mentioned flying cars, and so this one sounds a little sci-fi, but it's real.
So DeSantis just approved funding for vertiports,
which are essentially hubs for future flying commuter vehicles.
So think small electric aircraft that function somewhere between a plane and a helicopter.
The state can now fund up to 100% of these projects and federal money, if federal money isn't available.
So it's still early stage tech, but the idea is shorter, faster commutes above traffic.
It's so crazy that we're here. I mean,
it's
like
Fifth Element stuff. Yeah,
1887 lights turn on, and 2026.
We opened with, and the lights kicked on. We're like, and you could fly where you could fly to the grocery store.
And I think a long time ago we talked about a city in Orlando that was like insularly permitted for this.
So this is where you get like little innovation districts. So they'll have like autonomous commuters or little flying. Yep.
Yeah. And they were already testing some of this stuff back out. Like I said, this was one of our first like early Tampa Talk days. I remember talking about this story, but yeah, they were already doing it out there. So maybe one day I-275 won't be your only option. We're never going to get a train. We'll just start traffic above us.
And they'll still be just doing construction on 275 just because that's what we do. Finally, a more serious story involving AI.
So Florida Attorney General James Uthmire has launched a criminal investigation into OpenAI and ChatGPT.
This is connected to a 2025 shooting at Florida State University.
Authorities say the accused gunman may have consulted the chatbot beforehand.
OpenAI responded by saying the system gave general publicly available information and did not promote harm.
But this is part of a number of lawsuits and concerns about AI and its broader impact.
Yeah, the story itself is developing, and so is the problem. I mean, there's a million versions of this that I can't cite and rattle off, but I mean, from suicide reports to harm to shootings. I think
even the bombing or the bomb threat in MacDill had to do with AI too.
Well, and it seems that no matter what you tell GPT, it's like, that's a great idea. It's like, I wish it would stop doing that with me in general. Like,
even if you push it to like, no, this is a bad idea, like critique it. It's like, okay, if you say
what
so.
What a good idea.
Yeah. And I mean, it's a real, like when we talk about AI, I mean, we're talking about flying cars. So like, there does need to be boundaries to this work. I don't know whose responsibility that is, but...
Well, this is the problem. And this is what a lot of this is a huge conversation. I follow a lot of people that are very, very concerned about what's emerging. And it's an arms race. So there are no guardrails, and we are driving as fast as we can around very dangerous roads in an arms race that is compute processing power for consciousness. And all the money's funneling into it, all the power's funneling into it. And
but I remember
and we are creating silicon gods.
Yeah. But I remember back in this would have been 10 years ago, because it was one of my first courses at USF. It was on information systems and privacy rights and all that kind of stuff. And I remember looking at a current article in the news, and I think it was Elon Musk. It might have been another tech giant, but I think it was Elon Musk got in front of the federal government and was like, you absolutely need to create legislation around this.
He by the way, he pushed, I followed a lot of this.
Yeah.
He pushed extremely hard, and he wrote a letter because it was like, they're not doing it. Then he went to all of the heads of the companies and he tried to create a pact, basically like, can we all sign?
Be good guys?
Well, can we pump the brakes and have some conversations? And nobody would.
Yeah.
And then that's when he went, all right, then I'm gonna build one. Well, it's like I have to win now. So like I got to get there. So Grok is basically his attempt at going. All right, sweet. Then I'm gonna. But I mean, he was extremely concerned about
I remember that.
What is coming, which in like tech sci-fi land, if you're not familiar, and there's a ton of movies what they call like the singularity, which is like this capacity all of a sudden becomes conscious, has already learned how to manipulate humanity, and this is like how you get movies like The Matrix. So the humans blotted the sun, and they're like, that's okay, you're just a battery to us. And it's like the machines kind of, these are like sci-fi war movies, but also there are like really, really smart people going, we're really worried about this. It's what's called the alignment problem. And there's a lot of people doing a lot of work on this, basically aligning the goals of AI with the goals of humanity. So this is can this thing develop and be aligned with our best interest?
Yeah.
And it's a big question mark.
Yeah, and it's probably yes and no, right? Like, I mean, you think about...
There are people on both sides of that, and they call each other crazy.
Yeah. Well, I always think about, like, early, like, World War II specifically, like, when you think about the U.S. military industrial complex, and how, like, the U.S. wasn't really a part of World War II until, like, Boston Harbor, is it what it's called? Pearl, sorry. It was in Boston?
Yeah, you're Canadian.
Was it in Boston? Fine. Was I right about that?
Nope.
Oh, okay, whatever. Pearl Harbor was in Hawaii. Boston Tea Party, totally different event. Yeah. Different event. But anyways, moral of the story is that, like, the U.S. was really, like nobody would have questioned, like, there's, like, if you go to port towns in Italy, they still sing the praises. Like, my grandfather is from a port town in Italy, and he'll tell you, like, his dream came true when Americans landed, right? Like, his actual farm was used as a camp for U.S. soldiers it was a hostile, because Italy was on the bad guy. Like, they were flip-floppers, but they were on the bad guys, right? So it was like a hostile, quote unquote, takeover. And yet they were celebrated. Like, literally, they camped on his property. And versus today, internationally, you'll hear a lot of people critique all the U.S. military industrial complex. And so, you know, back then, I'm sure the question was asked, can you align this with humanity's goals, right? Mm-hmm. Can you align this with the good for the people? And the answer was yes and no. And, like, the answer is still yes and no. And I think the same holds true of, like, the power and yet threat of AI in the same way.
And then we're going to have flying cars. We're going to have autonomous. We're going to have robots soon. Mm-hmm. They're actually looking like they're pretty cheap. Like, we might need to get some for working around here.
Yeah, that's what we need. All right, well,
so
let's get into
pitch in on development.
Well, let's get into what's happening around Tampa this week. First up, the Amazing Art Expo. So that's happening April 24th through 26th at the Westin Tampa Waterside, and it is a free event from everything from anime to Marvel to Star Wars, and even voice actors from Pokémon and Avatar.
Nice.
And then we have the Crawfish Festival happening over in, like, the Brandon area at the Winthrop Town Center. It's 11 to 4, also free with Cajun food, live music, and family activities. And then also this weekend is the Tampa Bay Black Heritage Festival, happening at Curtis Hickson Park. 2 days of live music, culture, and food. And then finally, the Busch Gardens Food and Wine Festival and the Keel Farms Blueberry Festival are still going on if you want to check this out.
Nice springtime events. We will also be out, like, every week in the community. We will be at Harvest Hope Park this morning from 10:30 to 11:30.
And Ybor is now 4 to 6.
And Ybor's community garden will be now 4 to 6.
Yes.
You heard it here first, folks.
And if you missed us last week, we were at a conference. We tried to record.
We 100% recorded an episode. Yeah. And the file was corrupted and we weren't able to upload it. So forgive us for missing last week, although we did touch base on the news, but we didn't decide to repeat it all this week. So we'll just keep on plugging forward. But you can make sure you get this in your inbox every Friday morning, wordonthestreets.xyz. You'll get an email at 6 a.m. with a link to the show, unless we corrupted the file for whatever reason, and then you won't get it.
Or the robots take over.
Or the robots take over. Or they maybe they help send it. Or they help put these together, you know?
Yeah. Well, that's what we're talking about, everyone. Thank you for joining us. And until next time,
y'all be good.